Well, it's obviously not a weekday. Obviously, you don't usually see me on a Sunday, but y'all had to ask for snow, and it looks like someone is, in fact, going to get snow. Let's go ahead and talk about it in our special edition Texas Weather Roundup. All right, it is Sunday, the 22nd of January, 2023, a Sunday special. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy in Chief David Reimer, and this is a special edition of the Texas Weather Roundup due to the fact we have some potentially impactful weather coming to visit our state by Tuesday. So we're going to talk about it. I'm not going to get overly complicated, and obviously we're going to be throwing disclaimers out because this is winter weather in Texas. It's hard enough to get it right 12 hours out, and the fact we're talking about it 2 to 3 days in advance means there's going to be changes. Some folks are going to be happy, some folks are going to be mad, and some folks are just going to wonder why it's snowing at all. But, alright, let's just get into it. First off, I'm going to try and give you a general timeline on what we expect and when. Now, here's a couple of notes. This is a model I'm showing you. Typically, I don't show you models like this 3 days in advance, but I just want to get you a general timeline. Don't pay too much attention into what this model says is rain and snow. Don't expect the radar to look exactly like this come Tuesday. And we are going to see changes. The upper level storm system responsible for this nightmare, mess, whatever you prefer to call it, snow dream, just made landfall this morning on the west coast of the United States. We'll be able to get some weather balloon data from that system later this morning, and that will be ingested into weather model data for later this morning into this afternoon. Up until now, these models have been guessing on the state of the system. So now that it is on shore, we can start getting some actual observations of what the system looks like. That will hopefully start to narrow down the various model solutions so we can start getting onto a more precise forecast. So with all that being said, y'all know the deal. Don't take this to heart. We're just going to try and give you a general timeline. Whatever you think weather model data should be showing in terms of snow totals, again, there's a lot to consider here. So this is what the North American model is showing Tuesday morning through Wednesday morning. A couple of notes here. Yes, we are going to have some snow, but we're also going to have the potential for some strong thunderstorms and some heavy rain on the warm side of the system. The exact track of the system is going to dictate who gets snow, who gets the potential for some heavy snow, and then also who might have to deal with the chance for some stronger thunderstorms. So again, this is the general timeline for now. This is going to shift some, could shift a couple hours either way, and of course, don't expect the snow line to look exactly like this model shows. And contrary to popular belief, that is not a mega winter storm of doom this model is showing. Again, we're going to have to talk about it, and we'll explain some caveats here. Let's head over to the forecast rain totals with this system. And again, the potential exists for 2 to 4 inches of rain in southeast Texas, over into the Piney Woods, the Golden Triangle. We'll see lesser amounts of rain to the north and west, and some of this across the Texas Panhandle, West Texas, Northwest Texas, Texoma, Oklahoma, and parts of North Texas down to the Big Country may be the liquid equivalent of snow that melts afterwards. So that's the liquid or the snow to liquid ratio, and we'll talk a little more about that in a moment. Here is the severe weather outlook for Tuesday. That's not the severe weather outlook for Tuesday. Rude. Let's try that again. Seriously? Well, that's what happens. Here, let's just try this. I'm just going to change it on the fly. There you go. There's severe weather outlook for Tuesday. And again, the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted a marginal risk, a level 1 risk. That's about a 1 in 20 chance for some rowdy storms in your neck of the woods. This would generally be probably sunrise Tuesday through maybe 3 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon before the risk would shift east into Louisiana. And again, the issue here is we could see a low-end tornado risk, maybe some damaging wind risk right along the coast. This is going to, again, depend on the track of the system. If this system tracks a little further north, that would help enhance the risk of severe weather a bit farther inland, bring some more unstable air in from the Gulf of Mexico. Slightly further south, and this risk would be shoved further southeast and possibly just stay off the coast entirely. All right, let's head on over to our little snow graphic. Now, you're going to notice here, I'm not talking snow totals. And I'll tell you why, because this system just came on shore, the western United States, this morning. We have a lot of factors to consider. We're not going to have a Arctic air mass in place ahead of the system or really during it. The reason we're talking snow chances at all, with surface temperatures remaining near or a couple degrees above freezing, is because of very cold air aloft with this system. And as this system intensifies overhead, it's going to mix some of that colder air down and allow precipitation to stay snow. Even with surface temperatures a couple degrees above freezing, a wet snow. Soil temperatures are generally in the 40s and 50s, which means we're going to have a melting. So the only way we're going to see accumulations per se is if the snow is heavy enough to overwhelm the melting process. And yes, this does happen. This is how many of our winter weather events here in the state work. And generally, this is where we see localized heavier snow totals that can overwhelm the melting process, cause snow to accumulate on bridges, overpasses, even some roads, generally become slushy on surface roads pretty quick, and melts until after sunset, and then whatever's there may freeze if temperatures go below freezing. So this is generally what we're thinking about when we try to make these snow forecasts. We are expecting a widespread area of perhaps 1 to 2 inch snowfall totals in the blue. There are probably going to be heavier bands of snow, our deformation zones. Y'all don't need to know about that, just narrow bands of heavier snow, and that's where we could see some multi-inch snow amounts. We're not able to determine exactly what those are going to set up right now, and frankly, we probably won't until we're about 12 to 18 hours out from the event. But again, where those heavier snow bands set up, we could see more snow accumulate. It certainly wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. And we'll be talking snow totals as we get a bit closer. Hopefully by tonight, we'll have a much better idea of the exact current state of the system, a more probable track of the system, so we can start throwing out snow total maps. Don't pay too much attention to what weather model data shows. Most of those snow maps you see on weather models use a 10 to 1 snow ratio. 10 inches of snow per 1 inch of liquid precipitation, rain. Well, here in Texas, because our surface temperature is going to be above freezing, we're going to have a wet snow. Those snow ratios are probably going to be closer to maybe 4 to 1, up to 6 to 1, which means models are generally overdo the snow totals. Another thing to consider is the warm soil temperatures. A lot of what's going to fall is going to melt pretty quickly. So even though, say, we may end up with someone getting 7 inches of snow falling out of the sky, you may only see 2 to 4 inches by the time it's all said and done, and even that won't last all that long. So again, the blue and pink areas are where we could see some travel difficulties by Tuesday, especially in heavier bands of snow. Now, you'll notice we don't include the DFW Metroplex in this right now. I think it is probably going to snow in the DFW Metroplex. It's going to be rain mixed with snow, and then may even change over to a wet snow for a time. And sure, that could cause some slush on bridges and overpasses, but if surface temperatures stay at like 35 to 37, that should keep roads just wet for the most part. And obviously we're going to have to watch it, and we'll refine the data. Some data does suggest Collin and Weatherford, Parker, Wise counties up into southern Oklahoma may end up seeing some heavier bursts of snow, which could cause some localized travel issues for a while. So again, snow that falls on Tuesday, probably going to melt pretty quickly in terms of areas that see lighter to maybe locally moderate snow. If we end up under heavy bands of snow, that's where we're going to start seeing snow piling up pretty quick, even if the surface temperature is 33 to 34 degrees, just because it overwhelms the melting process. Now, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we're going to have to keep an eye out on areas of West Texas, the Panhandle, Northwest Texas, maybe even parts of the Big Country, where any melted snow remains, slush on roads, water, etc. If we see temperatures fall below freezing or go into the 20s Tuesday night, that would allow some of that to form into ice, and that would cause more travel issues. So again, this is sort of a early heads-up preliminary look at where we may have some travel difficulties on Tuesday. This is not going to be a winter storm where we spend days and days and days below freezing, where we have snow and ice sticking around for days. This is going to be, snow falls for a few hours or several hours, and probably by Wednesday afternoon, most of it's just going to be gone, simply because, one, temperatures will be above freezing, and two, soil temperatures are well above freezing, and three, we don't have a big-time Arctic air mass coming on in behind this to keep the snow around. So, again, we'll just have to keep an eye and wait and see. I know many of you want the snow. I myself am a snow weenie, and I like snow. So, hopefully, we can trend a little up in the snow totals. And you know what? Hey, you know what? Most of this will be grassy surfaces, etc. But again, we could see some travel issues, especially where we have snowfall heavy enough to overwhelm or overcome the melting process, at least temporarily. So we'll keep an eye on things here at the Texas Storm Chasers. I suspect we'll be cranking out another one of these videos after the Cowboys game, and probably a bit after dinner this evening, Sunday evening, the 22nd of January. So we'll be around. We'll be keeping an eye on things. Again, this isn't going to be a big-time, multi-day winter storm, but one of those quick hitters. And honestly, snow will probably be melted by a day or by Wednesday. So, you know what? Hopefully, at least we do get some snow, because I know the kiddos would like it. Y'all have a good Sunday. God bless. We'll be here keeping an eye on things.